The last thing I heard before everything fell apart was her laughing. Not the kind of laugh you share with someone you love.
Not even close. It was sharp, dismissive, almost entertained. Mini cliffhanger. Because what she said next was worse than the laugh itself. You really think your salary is enough for a life like this? Her voice was soft, almost playful, but there was poison under it. We were standing outside the wedding venue that her family had chosen, a place that looked like it belonged in magazines. White marble entrance, gold-trimmed doors, flowers everywhere like they were trying to convince the world this was perfect. And me? I was standing there in a simple black suit I had saved months for, trying to convince myself I belonged in it. My name is Armaan, and up until that moment, I thought love meant patience, understanding, compromise. I was wrong. She adjusted her engagement ring, like she was posing for someone who wasn't even there. Then she looked at me again, that same smile, the one she used in front of family, photogenic, carefully built. But when no one was watching, it changed. You know, my friends are marrying doctors, consultants, people who actually earn something, she said casually, scrolling her phone. I just don't want to struggle my whole life. I stayed quiet, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I had said it before, and it never mattered. Mini cliffhanger. Because this wasn't the first time she had said something like this. Not even close. It started small, months into the relationship. Little comments disguised as jokes. Wow, your salary must be so manageable. You're so responsible with little money. That's cute. At first, I laughed along. I told myself she didn't mean it, that it was just her personality. But then it escalated. Dinner with friends. You're lucky I don't care about money, she once said, smiling at the table while everyone laughed. I remember my fork freezing midair. No one noticed except me. Or maybe they did, and just didn't care. Mini cliffhanger. Because that's the moment I should have left. But I didn't. Instead, I adapted, stayed quieter, smiled more, avoided conflict, told myself that love wasn't about ego. It was about patience. But patience has a limit. Even I just didn't know where mine was yet. The wedding planning had started 3 months ago. Her family took control of everything. Venue, core, guest list, even the schedule. I was included, but only technically, like a guest in my own life. My parents tried to help where they could. My mother once asked me quietly, "Beta, does she respect you?" I laughed it off, changed the subject. Because how do you explain disrespect when it's wrapped in a smile? Mini cliffhanger. But the truth was, I was already starting to notice cracks. The way she talked about the wedding wasn't emotional. It was strategic. This venue will make good photos. My cousin's husband is inviting important people. We need to sit near them. We should upgrade this part. It looks cheap. Cheap. That word came up a lot. One night, I overheard her on a call. I wasn't supposed to hear it. I had just walked into the hallway when her voice came through the door. She was laughing. I mean, yeah, he's nice, she said, but he's not exactly ambitious. Pause. Then another laugh. I know. I'll manage. I just need stability for now. Mini cliffhanger. Because that sentence didn't feel like love. It felt like planning. I stood there for a long time after the call ended. Not angry. Not even sad yet. Just still. Like something inside me was trying to understand what I had just heard. Was I a partner or a placeholder? The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Bright voice. Warm smile. Let's finalize the invitation design. And I played along, because that's what I had learned to do. Smile when it hurts. Agree when it doesn't feel right. Stay calm when your instincts are screaming. But something inside me started changing after that. Quietly, slowly, I stopped defending things in arguments. Stopped reacting to comments. Started observing more than participating. And that's when I noticed something worse. She didn't just disrespect me privately. She curated it. Around certain friends, she would subtly remind them of my income level. Oh, he's very hardworking. Not everyone needs to be high-earning, right? She would laugh after saying it, like it was harmless, like I was supposed to laugh too. I didn't. Not anymore. Mini cliffhanger. Because I started noticing how often she measured people, not by character, but by value, and I wasn't high on her list. Still, I stayed, because leaving someone before a wedding feels like destroying something sacred. At least that's what I told myself. Then came the moment that changed everything. A week before the wedding, we were at a small pre-wedding dinner hosted by her family. Music playing softly, guests talking, laughter everywhere. She looked beautiful. Everyone kept telling her that, and she loved it. I sat slightly away from her, talking to a cousin about random things when I heard it again. Her voice, closer this time, sharpened, mini cliffhanger. And this time, she wasn't even trying to hide it. I don't know how people survive on small salaries, she said, laughing. A few of her friends giggled. One of them asked, "But you're still marrying him?" She shrugged. "It's fine. Not everything has to be exciting. Some things are just practical." Practical. That word sat differently. Heavier. Colder. I looked at her from across the table. She didn't notice, or didn't care. That was the moment something inside me stopped arguing, stopped defending, stopped hoping, and started recording. Not physically at first. Mentally. Carefully. Every comment. Every laugh. Every joke. Every insult disguised as honesty. Mini cliffhanger. Because I wasn't reacting anymore. I was documenting. Later that night, I stepped outside the venue alone. Cold air hit my face. Music still faint behind me. My phone buzzed. A message from her. "Don't be boring tomorrow at the final fitting. Smile more, okay?" I stared at it for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my camera roll, scrolled through photos. Us smiling, engagement pictures, family dinners. All of them looked real, but none of them felt real anymore. Mini cliffhanger. Because that's when I noticed something else. A message preview from an unknown number. It said, "If you're still planning to marry her, you need to know who she's been talking to." I froze, didn't open it immediately, just stared, because deep down, I already knew something wasn't just off. It was about to collapse. And the worst part? The wedding was tomorrow. I stared at the message for a full minute without moving. No blinking. No breathing properly. Just that line sitting on my screen, like it already knew what it was doing to me. If you're still planning to marry her, you need to know who she's been talking to. My thumb hovered over it, then stopped. Mini cliffhanger. Because I didn't open it right away. And that hesitation, it wasn't fear. It was something worse. It was recognition. Some part of me already knew this wasn't random. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't a jealous ex or a bored stranger. This was real. I finally opened the message. There were attachments, screenshots, a few voice notes, and one line at the top. "Check everything before you dismiss this." I sat down on the steps outside the venue. Cold stone against my back. Noise of the pre-wedding chaos still inside. Music, laughter, glasses clinking. A celebration that had no idea it was standing on thin ice. I tapped the first screenshot. Mini cliffhanger. And the moment it loaded, everything shifted. It was a chat. Her name. Someone saved as R. Redheart. My fiancée. Laughing. Typing. Flirting. Casual. Familiar. My chest tightened, but I still told myself, maybe it's old. Maybe it's harmless. Maybe it's not what it looks like. Then I read further. "I can't believe you're actually marrying him," the guy wrote. She replied almost instantly. "Relax. It's not serious like that." Pause. Then another message. "It's just temporary. I need stability right now." Mini cliffhanger. Because that word again, temporary. Same word I had heard before. Same tone. Same meaning. I kept scrolling. Ariv. Does he know about us? Her. He doesn't need to. Ariv. And after the wedding? Her. We'll figure it out. I just need time. Time. Figure it out. Temporary. Stability. None of those words included me. Not once. I leaned back slowly. The air felt heavier now. Not because of the truth, but because of how calm she sounded saying it. Like I was just a phase, a step, A placeholder she could return later if needed. Mini cliffhanger. And that's when I realized something worse. This wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. I opened the voice note. Her voice came through. Soft, laughing, comfortable. "You worry too much," she said. "It's not like I love him or anything. It's just convenient." A pause, then a small laugh. "He's safe." Safe. That word hit harder than anything else. Not loved, not chosen, not valued, just safe. Like a backup option, a fallback plan, a security blanket disguised as a fiancé. I lowered my phone slowly, looked out at the street, cars passing, people living normal lives, while mine was cracking in real time. Mini cliffhanger. Because I still hadn't reacted fully. Not yet. I stood up and walked away from the venue, just for air, just to think. But my mind wasn't thinking anymore. It was replaying everything. Every insult, every comment, every laugh, every practical explanation. It wasn't random anymore. It was consistent, patterned, intentional. She didn't slip up once. She revealed herself slowly. And I was just too in love, or too blind to connect it. My phone buzzed again. Another message from her. "Where are you? We still need to finalize the seating plan." Seating plan. Tomorrow. Wedding. Mini cliffhanger. Because she was planning a future that didn't include honesty. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked. Past shops. Past people. Past noise. Until everything felt distant. Then I called the number from the message. It rang twice, then picked up. A calm male voice. "Yeah." I hesitated, then spoke. "Who are you?" A short pause. Then, "I think we should meet." That was all he said. No explanation. No introduction. Just that. Mini cliffhanger. Because that's when I knew this wasn't just gossip. This was structure. I met him 30 minutes later at a quiet cafe a few streets away. Small place. Dim lights. Almost empty. He was already there. Late 20s. Calm face. Tired eyes. Like someone who had been carrying something for too long. He didn't stand when I arrived. Just looked at me. Measured. "You're Armaan," he said. I nodded. Sat down. Silence for a moment. Not awkward. Heavy. Then he pushed a folder toward me. "I didn't want to get involved," he said. "But I think you deserve to know everything before tomorrow." Mini cliffhanger. Because that sentence alone changed the weight of everything. I opened the folder. Photos. Messages. Transaction screenshots. My fiancé. With him. Different places. Different times. Same energy. Same comfort. But there was more. Money transfers. Gifts. Trips I didn't know about. And conversations that made my stomach tighten. "She won't suspect anything," one message said. "She trusts you too much," another replied. I looked up slowly. "This has been going on how long?" I asked. He didn't hesitate. "Before you proposed." Silence. That's when the room felt smaller. Not physically. Emotionally. Like the air had nowhere to go. Mini cliffhanger. Because that wasn't betrayal anymore. That was timeline manipulation. "She wanted stability," he continued. "You were that." Pause. And I was something else. I leaned back in my chair. My hands were steady. But everything else wasn't. "So why tell me now?" I asked. He looked down for a moment, then back up. "Because she told me something yesterday." I didn't speak. Just waited. "She said after the wedding she'll block me." Pause. Clean break. New life. My jaw tightened slightly. "She's not choosing anyone," he added quietly. "She's choosing convenience." Mini cliffhanger. Because that word again. Convenience. It wasn't love. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't even betrayal in the emotional sense anymore. It was calculation. I closed the folder slowly. Not angry. Not loud. Just focused. "And you're sure about tomorrow?" I asked. He nodded. "She's been planning it for months." Pause. "She thinks after the wedding, everything locks in." I let out a slow breath. "Locks in." I repeated. He nodded again. "Status. Security. Image." That word again. Image. Everything about her was image. Even me, mini cliffhanger, because now I saw it clearly. I wasn't part of her life. I was part of her performance. I stood up slowly, closed the folder. Why help me? I asked one last time. He paused. Longer this time. Because I was you once, he said. That hit differently. Not dramatic, not emotional, just honest. I nodded once and walked out. No anger, no shouting, no confrontation, just clarity. Outside, the night air felt colder, but clearer. My phone buzzed again. Her message, don't disappear tomorrow. I want everything perfect. Perfect. That word didn't mean love. It meant control. Mini cliffhanger. Because now I understood something important. Tomorrow wasn't a wedding. It was a performance. And I had just been given the script. I looked at the venue in the distance. Lights glowing. Music still faintly playing. People still laughing. Unaware. And for the first time, I wasn't confused anymore. I was prepared. The morning of the wedding felt too normal. That was the first thing that felt wrong. No storms. No chaos. No dramatic last-minute cancellation. Just sunlight pouring into the hotel room, like nothing life-changing was about to happen. And that's exactly what made it unsettling. Mini cliffhanger. Because in my head, everything was already loud. Even though the world outside was pretending it wasn't. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my suit. Black tux. Clean lines. Carefully chosen because she said, make sure you look presentable in photos. Not handsome. Not your day two. Just presentable. Like I was part of the background design. My phone vibrated. A message from her. Don't be late. My family is already stressed enough. No good morning. No emotion. Just instruction. I stared at it for a second, then put the phone down. Not because I was calm, but because I had stopped reacting to her tone. Because after last night, everything had changed. Mini cliffhanger. And what changed wasn't just what I knew. It was what I decided. I checked the folder one last time. Screenshots. Chats. Voice notes. Bank transfers. Timelines. Everything lined up. Too clean. Too intentional. Too planned. Not confusion. Not mistake. Structure. She hadn't been torn between two people. She had been building a transition. From me to him. Without disruption. Without loss. Without consequences. Just upgrade paths. I closed the folder. Looked at myself in the mirror again. And for the first time that morning, I didn't see a groom. I saw a witness. Mini cliffhanger. Because today wasn't about getting married. It was about ending something properly. The venue was already packed when I arrived. White flowers everywhere. Soft music. Guests dressed like it was a celebration of destiny. Phones out. Smiles ready. Everything staged for perfection. Her family greeted me warmly. Too warmly. Like nothing underneath their world was cracked. She's so excited. Her aunt said, she's been waiting for this day for so long. I nodded politely, smiled, played the part, because none of them knew what this day was actually going to become. Mini cliffhanger. And I wasn't planning to tell them early. Inside the bridal room, I caught a glimpse of her through the door. She looked beautiful. No doubt. White dress. Perfect makeup. Carefully constructed happiness. She looked like someone who believed she had already won. Our eyes met briefly. She smiled. Not soft, not emotional, but satisfied. Like everything had gone exactly as expected. I didn't smile back for long. Just enough. Then walked past. The ceremony began. Guests seated. Music rising. Phones recording. Everyone waiting for the moment. She walked down the aisle slowly. Every step rehearsed. Every movement controlled. People whispered, admired, smiled, some even emotional. I stood at the front, watching, not blinking much, because I wasn't seeing a bride. I was seeing a pattern. The same pattern from every message. Every laugh. Every insult. Every temporary comment. She wasn't walking toward me. She was walking toward an outcome. Mini cliffhanger. And I was already holding the truth she didn't know existed yet. The officiant began speaking. Words about love, commitment, trust, future. Irony, so thick it almost felt scripted. She kept glancing at me, smiling slightly, confident, relaxed, like nothing could go wrong now, because in her mind it was already secured. Then came the moment, the pause before vows, the silence before agreement, the point of no return. The officiant looked at me. "Do you have anything to say before we proceed?" Every guest leaned in slightly, some smiling, some emotional, some just excited. She looked at me too, soft expression, controlled confidence, like she already knew what I'd say. Mini cliffhanger. And that's when I stepped forward, not nervously, not dramatically, just steadily. "I do," I said. Pause. Then I turned slightly, not to her, not to the officiant, but to the guests. "Actually," I added, "there's something everyone should see first." A shift happened instantly. Whispers, confusion, phones adjusting angles. Her smile tightened slightly, just a fraction. "What are you doing?" she whispered under her breath, still smiling for the crowd, still pretending. I didn't answer her. Instead, I reached into my inner pocket, pulled out my phone, connected it to the venue screen. The projector flickered on. Mini cliffhanger. And the moment the first file loaded, the room changed temperature. The first screenshot appeared. Her messages. With him. A quiet ripple moved through the crowd. Confusion turning into attention. Attention turning into concern. Her smile dropped slightly. Not fully. Not yet. But enough. "What is this?" someone from the audience muttered. I didn't speak immediately. Let it breathe. Let it land. Then the next slide. Voice notes. Her voice filled the room. "It's just temporary. I don't love him or anything." That hit differently. Because sound makes truth heavier. Gasps started. People shifting in seats. Whispers growing louder. Her face changed. Confusion. Then recognition. Then panic started to build behind her eyes. "This is fake," she said quickly. Too quickly. Still smiling. But breaking now. Mini cliffhanger. Because the third slide didn't give her space to recover. Bank transfers. Dates. Amounts. Trips. Patterns. Ara's name. Her name. Connections no one was supposed to see. The room went fully silent now. Not whispering. Not reacting. Just absorbing. Her father stood slightly. "What is going on here?" he asked sharply. I turned slightly toward him. Calm. Respectful. But firm. "This is what your daughter has been managing for months," I said. A silence dropped so hard it felt physical. She stepped forward. "No, this is not real. You're trying to ruin me." Her voice cracked slightly now. Control slipping. I looked at her directly for the first time that day. Not angry. Not emotional. Just clear. "I'm not ruining anything." I said, "You did this yourself." Mini cliffhanger. Because the final layer was still missing. I clicked once more. The voice note played again. Her voice filled the hall. Laughing. Confident. Cold. "He's safe. That's all I need for now." That sentence didn't just land. It spread. Through every guest. Through every corner of the room. Through every assumption they had built about her. Safe. Not loved. Not chosen. Not respected. Just safe. She covered her mouth. Stepped backward. Breathing changed. Eyes filling now, not with tears yet, but shock. "You recorded me?" she whispered. I nodded once. "No," I said. "I just paid attention." Mini cliffhanger. And that's when everything collapsed at once. Her mother rushed forward. Her father followed. Voices overlapping. Questions. Denials. Chaos rising. Guests standing now. Phones recording openly. Whispers turning into noise. Noise turning into reaction. She turned to me one last time. Desperate now. Not confident. Not controlled. Just exposed. "You planned this," she said. I didn't deny it. I prepared for it. I corrected. That was the difference. Mini cliffhanger. Because preparation doesn't feel like revenge until it's too late. The officiant stepped back quietly. No one knew what role they were even playing anymore. The wedding was no longer a ceremony. It was a reveal. Security began moving closer. Not toward me. Toward her. Because chaos is direction now. She looked around the room, at all the faces, all the witnesses, all the silence that used to be admiration. And for the first time, she wasn't in control of how she was seen. She turned back to me, voice shaking. Why now? I paused, just once, then answered, because today was the day you thought you'd already won. Silence, final silence, not emotional, not dramatic, just complete, mini cliffhanger. And that's when I stepped back, closed my phone, and let the truth sit in the room without me holding it. I didn't stay for what came next, didn't need to, because the moment had already happened. As I walked down the aisle alone, I heard chaos behind me, voices breaking, people reacting, her voice calling out once. But I didn't turn back, because some endings don't need witnesses. They just need truth.